I'm RACT Hobart's child restraint fitter. I'm actually accredited with ACRI. Thank you to Vince for supporting me through that. ACRI is the Australian Institute for Child Restraint. So I'm actually a qualified child restraint fitter. I basically fit about 12 seats a day at RACT. That's equivalent to about 240 seats a week and close to 3,000 seats a year I fit. So that's a lot of people I see coming through my door. We see a lot of things going on, and we see what you see out there in the community quite a lot. RACT are great. We never ever charge to check. Whether you're a member or a non-member, it is free to come in and see me. I'm here to help. So if you ever have any questions, you're ever unsure of anything, that's where I come in. Now, RACT support us a lot in the community, so we basically go out and do community talks. We go to mothers groups. We work with Kids Safe going out there. We go around Tasmania. Peter Gillen is really great. He's another ACRI accredited fitter. He's our guy that will go to Launceston, to Devonport, wherever you need him to go, he will be there. I know he clocks off a lot of Ks. So we are here. We are here to help. We are here to answer your questions. Now, what they've asked me to do today is to come here and tell you what I see. Now, I don't see what you guys see, and I'm really glad I don't. I do hear it, and basically what we see there is you can have the most expensive seat in the world. So we've got one up the back there, Platinum AHR by Britex. This seat has been marketed and has been proven to be the safest seat ever manufactured in Australia. Now this seat has all the bells and whistles. It has side impact cushion technology. It has basically grooves so that you can adjust the harness right every time. It has everything. But if your seat is not fitted correctly, it will not perform. It will not save lives. It can actually cause more injury if it's not fitted correctly, and that's where I come in. On a day-to-day thing we see at RACT is probably the most common occurrence I see is seats out of date. Yes, they do have expiry dates on them, and a lot of people don't know how to tell the expiry date, and a lot of people don't know how to actually determine whether a seat is old or safe or unsafe. The recommendation by the companies that manufacture the seats is 8 years, not 10, 8 years. Most people come through my door have no idea that their seat is too old. Seats are manufactured mainly out of plastic. If you've ever left an ice cream container out in the sun, you know what happens. That plastic gets brittle and it will fracture, it will break. We will see harnesses come through the actual seat. We will see the whole seat pretty much crumble beneath you. It won't bend, it won't flex the way it's designed to in an impact. Now, all seats, since pretty much the dawn of the ages, actually have date stamps on them. Now, RACT, me, and everyone can show you where to find them. They have two forms of date stamps. They have stickers on them. They also have clocks that are stamped into the back of the seats. If you're unsure, you can take a photo, you can send them to us. That's what we're here for. RACT's policy is we will not touch anything that's 10 years old. The reason for that is, honestly, I don't want my name to a seat that old. I don't want to think that that seat's going out there and it's going to be an accident and not perform. Peter Gillen talked about it before, but I'll never ever forget it. My first week at RACT wasn't a gentle one. I had a lady come in with a child restraint that was manufactured the same year I was born. That was 1986, by the way, for all of you trying to work that out. So this seat was as old as I was, and I had to argue with a gentleman, black and blue in the face, that this seat wasn't safe. I said to him, I'm happy to destroy this seat for you. We actually cut the straps, we'll actually rip the restraints apart and throw them and dispose of them. The gentleman said to me, no, I'll take it back, I'll take it to the tip. 2 days later, the same restraint came back through my door. I went through the same thing again. I went through telling them that, this restraint is not safe. You cannot use it. You can see very obvious signs of discoloration and the actual material was fading. The same thing the lady said to me, no, I'll take it back to my sister and tell her it's not safe. 2 weeks later, you wouldn't believe it, the same seat came back in again and I lost it. I don't get cranky easily, but this made my blood turn red, pretty much bubbling at the seams. I actually ripped the seat out of the car and said, we're confiscating this now. I don't actually have the power to take seats off people, but he didn't know that, so I was very, very happy to cut that one up and put it in the bin finally. So there definitely is expiry dates on seats. Another thing that we see quite a lot coming through our doors is seats not fitted correctly. Probably the most common thing I see is actually our top tether. So what the top tether is the part that makes us so awesome as Australian standards. Pretty much from the go, we've had anchorage systems different to the UK and America. Our top tether actually allows us to be one of the safest standards in the world in child restraints, which, to be fair, I'm pretty proud of. To think little old Australia kicks ass compared to the UK and America makes me pretty proud, okay? So you should be proud too. The top tether is a very vital role of the actual seat to help it perform in the way it needs to in an impact. The most common cause I see of seats being infitted correctly is actually over-tightening of the top tether. People tighten them up too much. They need to be tensioned, not tightened. We see a lot of capsules coming through our doors, a big trend at the moment of capsules actually, because they're travel systems, so keep your baby asleep, taking them in and out of the car. Capsules do not fit very well in a lot of cars. As cars are getting designed more and more these days, they're designed for you and me. They actually sit quite deep in the car, and when a capsule's just sitted naturally onto the actual seat, they'll actually sit down quite a lot. And we'll see children actually in a rear-facing restraint, but they may as well be forward-facing. The angle that they're at is too much, and we will see an impact that this restraint won't perform. It won't protect the child's upper body and neck. So the actual top tether is meant to be tensioned, not tightened. We also see incorrect seatbelt paths being used every day. The seats are getting a lot better now. We're seeing with the new 2010 standards, colour coding being brought in, blue for rear facing, yellow for forward facing, red for booster seats. So the seats are getting a lot more user-friendly. I'm the first one to tell you is you basically sometimes need an engineering degree to understand the manuals. We're working with a lot of the actual companies to help break it down and put it into everyday words. Another thing that we see a lot of is people not even knowing how to find their anchor point holes. Every vehicle manufactured or imported into Australia since 1974 that's not a commercial vehicle has had 3 anchor holes fitted to it somewhere. I spend pretty much 80% of my time playing Where's Wally with them, but they are there, and I promise you I will find them for you if you need me to. The big thing we see is people anchoring to cargo clips. Cargo clips are generally only weight tested to about 12 kilos, and they will fracture and give in an impact, and that will send your top part of your restraint flying, or allowing to actually go through a longer whiplash. A top tether anchor point will normally be found in the direct centre of your restraint. So if you follow a line from the middle of your seat, over the back, down the back of the seat, across the boot, you will find your anchor point there. The owner's manual will show you a really nice picture of where they are as well if you still have them. Another thing that we see a lot of is people coming in and seeing me, and I'll fit the restraint to you right then and there, but I'm not with you every step of the way. I'm not with you when you put that baby in that car every day. I'm not with you when the child actually grows, and they do grow quite quickly, some children. You need to make sure that the actual restraints are actually fitted correctly every day. Every time you click them in, we need it 100% on the money. Harness straps, I find parents aren't adjusting them. They are a bit awkward, they are difficult. What I'm seeing is harness straps behind the shoulder. When they actually manufacture the restraints, it's basically said that it needs to be above the shoulder, not above the ear. More often than not, I find harness straps entering in behind the shoulder blade, and that allows a longer whiplash in an accident, which increases the chance of injury or death in an incident. So we find that's another big thing. So I'll fit a restraint right for a newborn baby, and that restraint will come back in 6 months down the track and hasn't been adjusted at all. And this actually means that the seat's not fitted correctly, which means it won't perform correctly in the actual accident. Hopefully no one ever goes through that, but we do see it every day. When I started at RACT, which was almost 2 years ago, there was a study done and it was found that 75% of seats fitted out on our roads in Australia were incorrect. 75%, and that is a big, big chunk. So that was quite scary for me. So I set off on my little way thinking I was going to change the world and everything like that. And then guess what? We just did another study in April and it found that 88% of seats are fitted incorrectly in Australia. We've gone up, okay? As much as I've been out there trying my best, making sure seats are fitted correctly, we're increasing, we're not decreasing, and that's just not good enough. It can be something so simple, like I said, your top tether not being 100% right, your straps not being fitted correctly, they still are not going to perform and you are counted as incorrectly fitted restraint. There's a lot of information out there and it can get very confusing, but that's why we have lovely people like Kids Safe and Peter Gillen and our law enforcement's there to help you work out the right way. What we also found is that pretty much around Christmas time, I get booked out at least a week in advance. I'm the only outside fitter in the south of Tassie that fits restraints, not from a shop. So I find myself run off my feet. People not planning ahead, people coming down interstate and not having a restraint. I get so many calls from people saying, we need to pick someone up from the airport tomorrow. We don't have a restraint. I'm like, oh, that's nice. How are you going to get home? RACT, a lot of people don't realise it, but we actually have hire restraints, and I think it's a very good thing for people to know. We specialise in short-term hire. So if you don't have a restraint, we are there to help, and it is very cheap. For a typical convertible seat, so that's a 0 to 4 seat, it's only $45 a week to have a restraint in there. So we do help in that situation. A lot of councils still offer hire capsules for close to 6 to 12 months. So there are things out there in the community that are there to help people, but what I find in my job is a lot of people don't know about them. They don't know that they exist. So it's more getting that education out there, letting people know what's here for the community, what networks are there for them to support them through this. I'll tell you a little bit of a story that I actually had 2 weeks ago, so I thought this was very relevant and thought to actually bring it up today. Was something that's going to pretty much stay with me for a very long time. Like I said to you, my first week at RACT was not an easy one. I actually had a newborn baby brought in to my bay on the lap of a mum in the front seat driving. Me being very new to the job, I was absolutely shocked, and I told her that you can't do that, and she went off at me and basically said, well, I haven't got the seat fitted, what was I going to do? We do see this happening every day. We see parents transporting children not in restraints. I know there's been a lot of talk about expensive restraints. I mean, we've got one up there that's $600, but there are also ones that are under $200, brand new, ready to rock and roll for you. You don't have to spend a lot of money for a seat to be safe. Anything that's manufactured with the Australian stamp on it is going to keep your child safe and help prevent injury or death. So you don't have to break the piggy bank. A lot of shops offer payment plans, but people just are too scared to ask, so you can pay them off. There's no excuse not to be in the correct restraint. The one that happened 2 weeks ago really did it brought me to tears, actually. I had to walk away and sort of calm down, have a nice coffee afterwards. I had a mum come in with our claims side of RACT, and a lot of people don't know, but our claims work pretty closely with me too, getting right restraints in the car. The mum was telling me about an accident that actually happened here in Hobart. Now, she had the best seat up there in her restraint. She was coming down a very steep road in Hobart, and it was raining, and the cars had stopped in front of her, so she actually had come to a stop. She heard the car behind her lock their brakes up. Her little, I think it was 4 months old baby, was in the back with the platinum in the centre seat. It's correctly fitted. I actually fitted the restraint, so I'm pretty proud of that one. She heard the car lock up behind her, and instinct kicked in, and she went to pull away. She tried to turn to get out of the way. As she turned, the car coming the other direction collided with her, and the restraint, collided with her, and the car behind her hit her too, and she got spun. And basically, the whole car was a write-off. We couldn't actually get the seat out of the actual car because it was that crumpled. The little baby girl was reported to only have bruises on her shoulders and her hips from the actual harness holding her. Now, this could have been a horrible, horrible accident, and to think this little baby girl was discharged 2 hours after going to the hospital with only minor bruising, and that's what we want to hear. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to see more of. And she came back in and she just bought 2 new platinums, one for her mum's car and one for her car. I was like, yay! Britex, who we support at RACT quite a lot, are an amazing company, and they're there for the general public. They offer what we call a crash exchange program. Now, if your insurance company doesn't cover the cost of a restraint in an accident, they will exchange the safe and sound seat free of charge for you. All you need to do is basically write to them and explain what actually happened, and they'll send you a brand new seat like that down. So even if you're in an accident and you're not sure what to do, Britex will come in and help you. So there are different supports out there to help you. Big thing I see too is poor parents trying to fit 3 seats into the back seat of a car. You've got to watch those airbags. A lot of people don't know about the now airbags in the actual passenger seats at the front. They actually explode out the side of the actual car seat itself, and they actually do protrude up to about 5 to 15 centimetres out the back of the actual seat itself. If a rear-facing seat is fitted behind that and not in the right position, it will actually cause the seat to come forward. There are roll bars in seats to stop this happening, but we find that a lot of people fitting seats without pulling up the roll bar, or they don't know the roll bar's there, and that will actually send the child through a whiplash. So we're seeing a lot of things like that.